Habitat preference. It is the consequence of habitat selection. It results in the disproportionate use of some resources over others, or where animals use some resources of the habitats more often in comparison of other rich patches. Habitat preference is most strikingly observed when animals spend maximum proportion of time in a habitat that are not very abundant on the landscape, or where animals spend most of the time at any one location. Habitat availability. It is the accessibility and procurability of physical and biological components of a habitat by animals. Availability is in contrast to the abundance of resources, which refers to quantity. In the habitat, irrespective of the organisms present, and one should be able to measure the amounts and kind of resources are available for a given animal, but in practically it is not always easy to assess resource availability from animal point of view. For say the abundance of prey species for a particular predator could be measured, but not all of the prey in the habitat are available to the predator, because there may be factors that restrict their accessibility. Similarly, all the vegetation beyond the reach of an animal is not available as forage, although it is the preferable vegetation or habitat of a particular prey species. So measuring actual resource availability is no doubt important to understand, but in practice it's seldom measured because of the difficulty of determining what is and what is not available to an animal. Quality habitat is the ability of the environment to provide conditions appropriate for individual and population persistence. Habitat quality is a continuous variable ranging from low to medium to high, where low is based on availability of resources available for survival. Medium, availability of resources available for reproduction. And high, that is availability of resources available for population persistence. Okay, so habitat quality should be linked with demographics, not vegetative features, if it is to be a useful measure. If talk about the Yellowstone National Park study by Ablis and Ablis of 1987, he evaluated habitat quality by comparing two groups of Rocky Mountain elk, where unused or unoccupied habitat were quite useful for those species which were threatened or endangered or rare species, or were reducing in their numbers. But if abundance is good, number of individuals is good, a population is oversized, then unused or the habitats which seldom used by animals may be of much use in presence of overabundant population. Critical habitat. It is primarily used as a legal term describing the physical or biological features which are essential to the conservation of a species and which may require special management consideration or protection. Because critical habitat can exist in areas within or outside the geographic range of species. It should be specifically linked with the concept of high quality habitat. That means the ability of an area to provide resources for population persistence. As we have seen in the beginning that habitats are species specific. Particular habitat can support to a particular type of species, but except that it is scale dependent, measurements matter. What I'll call to these three factors habitat parameters. So on the basis of these parameters, either it is a species specific or it has been in use on the basis of scale, or it is a measurements matter on the basis of its quantification. If habitat is species specific and we hear someone says this is a great wildlife habitat as that is supporting a particular species well, it is like walking into a brick wall. Like, I can guess what they mean. All the components which are necessary for reproduction and survival of one particular species may not be same for other species, and great wildlife habitats don't exist everywhere. So this has and will continue to be a problem because manipulation of the landscape which is being done to help to support a particular species favors the habitat for some particular species, not for all species, but it be detrimental to the habitats of others. And lot of efforts are being done at ecosystem level to manage the habitat, but when considering an specific species or any organism, then the managers, the ecologists, conservationists need to consider their unique array of requirements for survival. If habitat is scale dependent, a parameter is scale dependent for measuring the habitat. So two scales have been identified, macro habitat and micro habitat. Both terms are common but actually relate more to the landscape level at which a study is being carried out for a particular species than to a type of habitat. Generally, macro habitat refers to landscape scale features. And microhabitat, it refers to finer scaled habitat features. Johnson in 1980 recognized the hierarchical nature of habitat use in natural ordering, which are named as first order selection, second order selection, third order selection, and fourth order selection. The first order selection is the selection of the physical or geographical range of a species. Range of a species. Second order is selection of home range by a species. Third is the use of components within the home range or use of resources within the home range. And fourth one is habitat selection in terms of how components of a habitat are used. The way of resource utilization. Right? Measurements matter. See, habitat is not ambiguous, and to understand how it interacts with a species and what is the level of habitat animal relationship, one must ask the correct questions like what component is being measured, when is it being measured, and how many samples are necessary for meaningful results. Obviously, to even pose these questions, one has to have complete knowledge of an animal's total life history, strategy, or the complete ecology. Without knowledge of the animal's history or ecology, measurements of habitat could be meaningless or erroneous. Competition is an interaction between organisms or species in which the fitness of one lowered by presence of another. So it targets the fitness of one species. And obviously this species will be the inferior species. Limited supply of at least one resource, maybe of food, water, territory, shelter, which is being used by both, can be a factor or reason for competition, and it occurs when individuals use a shared resource in short supply. There may not be enough of the resources for any given individual to survive or to reproduce, as well as when more resource is present. What happens when competition occurs? It may result in low birth rate and high death rate. And high death rate. Second consequence may be that population growth rate decreases at population size is lowers at equilibrium. When population reaches to equilibrium. And what is equilibrium? I have told you earlier that this is the level of carrying capacity from where population cannot go up, right? Ignore these lines. And a third consequence may be less fitness of individuals of a population. Less fitness of individuals of a population, or say less quality individuals. They cannot combat with the existing situation of competition, right? Competition may be species specific or by mechanism. If it is happening cause of a species, then here it can be divided at two levels. Either this is the intraspecific competition or interspecific competition. Intraspecific competition occurs within species. An interspecific competition occurs between species. Two species or two different species, right? Interspecific competition more probably results either in exclusion of one inferior species, coexistence of both two species. Maybe if it is the matter of interspecific competition, so here we are talking about the sympatric species. Or similar species. The dominant species can create the same exploitation of inferior species. So there may be more consequences between sympatric species competition or interspecific competition. The population of any community can be controlled by certain key factors which directly affect community structure, and these key factors come from ecology, demography, and biology, where competition and communities' richness, diversity, and dominance and predation, they directly hit to the structure of a given community. And what consequences could be there? It can change species distribution, it can affect resource allocation, and it can create niche segregation. If talk about competition between species or two sympatric species, what consequences could be there between populations of different species? Results when one species being dominant over the others, and here niches play an important role between two sympatric species. Interspecific competition. See, in India, we have two predator ecosystems. If add hyena, so we can say multi-predator ecosystem, which is the case of Gir National Park, where leopard is coexisting with Asiatic lion, and one scavenger hyena is making ecosystem multi-predator ecosystem, but sympatric species are two. And this competition that occur between sympatric species. Elsewhere in India, we have leopard with tiger, the coexistence of these two sympatric species. Although in other countries like Serengeti, Yellowstone National Park ecosystem are the multi-predator ecosystem. To explain this competition, I'll pick the example from Gir, which harbor a unique association of leopard with Asiatic lion. Lions dominate in the ecosystem, leopards avoid lions. For say, since 2002 we are running a leopard project. Up to yet 2 phases are completed, third phase is going on. In first phase we found that leopards were not using kill protection strategies which they commonly use elsewhere, while in second phase they started using kill protection strategies either by hauling kill up on trees or hiding beyond big boulders in riverine belts, or by burying beneath of litters to reduce smell or decomposition rate, because burying that reduce decomposition rate or smell which attracts more quickly to lions. As picture is showing that leopard is hauling kill up on tree and one male individual is waiting guarding on ground. This picture was captured during second phase in 2009 when I was doing prey survey. When we sighted the kill, we waited there, and in half an hour we saw that female was trying to pull kill up on tree. Later on we sensed that lion group was reaching there, and when lion group reached there, both individuals, they left the site because kill was already protected upon the tree. They moved around up to 3 to 4 hours. They did not come in direct contact of lions. They avoided fight with lions. In that way, the coexistence is existing over there between these two sympatric species. The competition usually results in exclusion or coexistence. So coexistence, how it can exist in any given ecosystem of sympatric species, I told you. Although the coexistence is not the process or a quick adaptation, the coexistence occur by a contribution of several factors such as behavioral factors, ecological factors, and biological. Even historical evolution that play an important role, where heredity and experience are important to avoid sympatric dominant competitor. The flexible behavior of inferior predator or plasticity of inferior behavior play another important role to avoid direct fight between these two sympatric species. The exclusion may occur when inferior species don't develop this avoidance level. In other ecosystems where leopards are coexisting with tigers, in India, studies says that this kind of adaptation or behavior, it has been developed in Indian leopard or common leopard, Pantherapardus fusca, although in other countries or multiple predator ecosystem, such kind of behavioral plasticity hasn't been seen in sympatric predators. Intraspecific competition or within species competition, and I think you have a good understanding of this kind of competition, as it is very clear in the picture that many cheetahs are there. Or suppose this is the oversized population of cheetah. If many heads are available in a population to eat on same resource availability, to use the same resources for the survival, then what consequences could be there? The one consequence will be when population will reach to equilibrium, from there it will gradually decline and will reach to the extinction. In the next consequences, if population will not decline from the equilibrium level, if it is crossing the equilibrium level, then sudden extinction of population may exist. So if population is oversizing, there are more chances of population extinction, either suddenly or gradually, right? Predation, this is also again very simple topic. Predation is the process of major importance which influence the distribution, abundance, and diversity of species in the ecological communities. This is the process where one predator eats upon the other predator and make a food chain, and in that way maintain the ecosystem balanced. Predation affected by a community's richness, diversity, and dominance of individuals, or individuals of different populations, or particularly populations of predator or prey species. So consequences of predations may be density dependent or density independent. So I'll continue this topic in next lecture. Listen me in next lecture. Bye bye.